And now, if you could see on Zoom, it looks like a lot of the either the family get-togethers or a really weird Brady Bunch that nobody would ever watch. The opening would not work, and I just got to tell you, we get our good friend Dan Wong, who I did not know until this morning was going to be on the show from Eggplant, our good buddies, and people understand our connection going back to them a couple of years and for what they did for us. I'll never forget it. It was one of the greatest gifts we ever received. But in working with them, they're the top professionals in North America. And now they have a new show that we're going to get called Dine and Dash with Jeff Cole. Jeff, thanks for joining us here this morning.
Thank you very much for having me, Mike.
And this next name is so good. I believe he must have been an action star in the 70s, Matt Dean Pettit.
Wow. What an introduction.
See,
Mike, look at that setup.
Yes. Yeah, it was like ABC and starring Matt Dean Pettit, and Farrah Fawcett.
Right?
Well, yes.
I got to tell you, MacGyver, you know, as short his name as it is, that was my hero. So that you just made me feel really great there.
And of course, the executive producer, Dan Wong, known as Wonger. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great, Mike. Thanks for having us. Really excited about all this.
So let's talk about it. So Jeff and Matt, the show is called Dine and Dash, and so it's going to be produced and played on Newstalk. We're thrilled about that. So we need to find out about the individuals who have put this together. So Jeff, like, how did this show start? Where did it come from? And just why the hell are you doing it?
Well, I'm going to let Matt take this because I'm just sort of the ugly face that makes him look better. So I'm going to let him take this one. He knows all the technical. I don't know
guys.
Words no good. So
David, Mike, you know, I'm working with true professionals here, and it's a real pleasure for a chance. I'll tell you that. No, guys, the Dine and Dash, which started as a humble podcast, as a lot of people do in the podcast world. Jeff and I are no stranger to a microphone and a camera in our face. And of course, Dan Wong being on the front and both backside of that. What started as Dine and Dash podcast was listened to by some of the executives and families there at Sauga960am. And they said, listen, we need this food show. So essentially, Dine and Dash radio show now, coming Fridays at 1 p.m. with you guys, is a kitchen party, boys. It's, you know, we bring together some of the key leaders in the Peel region from restaurateurs, chefs, and we're always featuring putting a spotlight and showcasing of really great restaurants in the Peel region, their stories of success, bringing key leaders and interesting people. And then we always tie in a recipe component. And when we have Dan and Jeff Cole in the room, and I'll turn it to these guys, you know, it gets pretty wild, as you can imagine, Mike.
Well, now let's talk about that industry. So there's a lot of guys I know, a lot of buddies I have. Some of them show up on City TV occasionally, upset about what has happened during this pandemic. And as the numbers continue to rise, and magically it has nothing to do with the restaurants or the bars that have been closed down, like they're the culprits. Clearly they are not, but they're the ones paying a pretty heavy price. Now, the restaurant industry has always had pretty small margins. I mean, it's really a roll of the dice. It's a lot of things, and sometimes it's just luck of the time you decide to open up one of these places. So in your feeling right now, I mean, just how scary is it for someone who owns a restaurant right now in Peel, which of course has horrific numbers? It has been shut down. I mean, how scary is this going to get? Because I had this bad feeling, like I've seen, and I kind of know a little bit, that some of these family-run restaurants, they may not come back. They may not make it.
Yeah, Jeff, do you want to field that one first? And I can jump in too.
well, I mean, it's a horrible time for restaurants in general. I mean, like you said, I mean, everything's closed. And clearly that's the culprit. No. But there are some good success stories coming out of this. And it's more of it's like people have figured out how to pivot and how to adapt to the new environment. So we have the guys from the Avani group coming on our show tomorrow. And they've actually opened 3 restaurants during COVID. Wow. And it's been successful. And I got to say, we tried the food, or we're going to try the food. Well, we tried the food and it was absolutely delicious. Magic of radio. But I mean, it's the ones that don't make it. I feel like there's going to be a renaissance after everything opens back up. So the people that necessarily may have had to close their spots, they were going to come back with a vengeance and try something new. That's what I'm hoping anyway. but for the ones that do survive, it's the one, you know, they've had to make changes and whatnot. And it'd be very interesting to see what happens once everything comes back to whatever normal that'll be.
Well, you talk about a great time for this kind of show to actually be launched, you know, with everything we've had in 2020. So are you guys, like, I know I've listened to the podcast before because you guys are not new to this at all. Are you starting to get a lot of restaurants maybe asking to come on and promote us kind of thing and so forth? Because I know that Mike and I are religious to talking about support the small restaurant owner, support this, support local, buy this, buy that, because we do this on a weekly basis, if not more. And I know you guys spotlight this even more because you guys actually have the knowledge of what actually is going on in the I guess the ground zero part of the restaurant world here in the Toronto, the GTA, the Peel region.
Yeah. You know, on that, David, like I am still a restaurateur owner, and I'm a chef. I've been in the restaurant business for 20 plus years now, from restaurants like Rock Lobster, a lot of fun seafood restaurants, Boots and Bourbon. You guys probably heard of.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And now my most current places are Coast and Pearl Diver, which is in just downtown Toronto here, where I am. And you know what? It is a challenge. But you hit the nail on the head there, guys. It allows us every week, Wonger, Jeff Cole, and I can go on the station and we can talk and highlight and feature key restaurants in the Peel region and really bring to light and talk about their story, share their dishes, share their message. And you know, it's inspiring from that time. That gives us a lot of excitement for every single week to get on to do that. And the timing, like you said, Dave, is amazing.
Now, going to Dan Wong, as I said, so a very good friend of ours. They produce actually, I mean, a lot of shows, and Dan, I shouldn't say from Eggplant, because now you are essentially a contractor unto your own in your own world, which is the way you like it. So I do understand that. But there's a lot going down on that facility in King Street, and you're basically the man who's been behind it for I don't know how many years now. So how did this come to be? Why? Because look, you're a smart guy, so you tend to find things that are needed. How did this one come about?
You know, it's been a really great progression. I started doing podcasting with you guys back, what was it, 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now I have Footy Prime that I'm producing with James Sharman, Craig Forrest, and Danny Dicchio. And all of a sudden I said I needed a voice talent. And that voice talent was Jeff Cole in the bottom right of our Zoom picture for me. Jeff is a little humble sometimes. He's the voice of border security and the voice of Say Yes to the Dress Canada.
Oh,
So,
cool. Very cool.
He's nimble on the microphone. You don't want to be that microphone, folks.
Border security kills me, because even the guys who have their luggage and their airplanes filled full of crack, when they get to the and it's so Canadian, the border, like, so how's it going, eh? I'm like, okay, you never see that guy. So you got a pass for that? Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, but my mom is sick. Oh, that's a good reason. And then the voice comes on and goes, and apparently they don't believe Stan. Stan's plane is filled full of crack. So Jeff, that's you. You're the crack person, so to speak.
Yes, I am the crack man.
and it was funny, Mike. I asked him, you know, can you do a little bit of border security on air? And he's not allowed to. So he had to give us a little border security, or sorry, say yes to the dress. So I might throw him under the bus a little. What was the say yes to the dress line, Jeff?
Yeah.
Mike Richards says yes to this Beat It on Tools Rock Waist by Maury Lee.
Amazing.
Yeah, geez, that sounds good too.
You know, guys, can you understand what I'm dealing with here on a weekly basis now? You know, the kitchen party ensues, gentlemen. The kitchen party ensues on Dine.
Yeah, and is there anything better than if someone's not understanding what Matt's saying about a kitchen party? It's I don't know an event or that I've had in my household, regardless, and most people, where you're gonna end up in the kitchen anyways. Now it'd be cool if you were a chef like Matt, and you know, it's interesting at this time of year. depending on your age group, perhaps, or maybe geographically where you're from. But seafood is kind of a big thing, and of course we love it in this household, and it's because it's just fun, and it also there's just something special about seafood. There's something slightly elevated and elegant about it. But I guess if you work in it all the time, why does it have that appeal? Is it just because it's coast? If you're not on the coast, it's special. But we probably could have it more regularly. It doesn't have to be just for a special occasion.
No, and I think it's a treat. Like for me, for my birthdays, it was always the reason I love seafood specifically. In my type of cuisine that I love to cook, sort of Canadiana seafood. It was a treat. It was always for me growing up in a small town. I'm from Midland, Ontario. Shout out.
That's where my family's from. Yes, long
really?
way back. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, awesome. 705. We stick together. No, I do. Don't get me wrong. I do love the 905 too. But that being said, no, it's it was a treat. It was a treat, guys. When you were a kid growing up, your parents would take you for a meal, and if you were allowed to also eat something with your hands, like you can seafood, any kind of food. Like guys, I think all of us in the room, probably we tend to go to either pizza or sandwiches if I can tell our demographic right here. You know what I mean? We want to eat with our hands. We want to make it easy. We got maybe a cold drink in our other one, and that's where the kitchen party ensues.
It's funny you guys say it's funny you guys say kitchen party too, because prior to 2020, any sort of house gathering I'd have, no matter where we were in the house or the deck or anything like that, everything revolves around our kitchen island. And what I'm seeing here is three friends talking on a show and having their own style of kitchen island party on the radio, which is really cool, because I really subscribe to that, and I think that's awesome, and I look forward to actually doing it in person one day soon with more than just the three people upstairs right now.
Yeah.
Well, it's fascinating. This will be obviously it's going to be a great show. I'm thrilled that Newstalk is going to be able to put this on, because it does fit into the the circus-like feel that the station has at times. Is people, what's the format? There isn't one. It's like it was in the 70s, where all of a sudden you go from Johnny Fever to Les Nessman. We actually kind of have that here, and you guys jump into this party. It's just so perfect for what we do. I think you're really going to enjoy it. I know the audience is going to love it, because let's face it, of the things that are of general conversation now, of this generation, as opposed to the ones that our parents had, like the men did not sit around talking about food. Our dads didn't sit there and talk about recipes. This generation does. And therefore, the standard roadhouse that we kind of grew up with at one point in high school, they're gone, because nachos and potato skins, they don't do it anymore. And because you have to be very selective when you go out in going to a restaurant, I think this is fascinating, because you have that full exchange of not only restaurants, you have the entertainment factor, and then of course thrown in a recipe, because it's funny you say our demographic's very different in that, our guys are still going to go to, Harbor 60, or they're going to go to Jacobs or whatever. They're still, because they're going to pay a lot of money for some food. But the reality is, and this is the beauty part about food, just as it is wine, which I see them as one of the same thing anyway. You don't have to spend a lot of money. You can figure out things. I mean, you're a chef, but that doesn't mean everything you do is a Michelin starred meal. And I'm sure when you do these recipes, they're not.
You nailed it. That's it. It's especially now, Mike, it's about making food accessible, and I think in our area where we are here in the Peel region, in the GTA, it's about making food accessible, but working within the community and sharing recipes. Jeff mentioned on the show, we've got first up the guys from the Avani group. Outstanding. The cuisine between Indian to Hakka, so it borders on that fusion food. The flavors are incredible. And so, when we dip into our recipe section every single time on the show, there'll always be a recipe that we walk through as part of that fun. It's going to be stuff that people can make at home, though, and on a budget that they can do themselves.
Well, as I said, I had Hakka food a year ago for the first time. And I was stunned. It's just like it came out of nowhere, and I'm like, what is this? And it's they specialized in that cuisine. So it is very just like the station and just like the show, and this is going to be a perfect fit. So gentlemen, first of all, congratulations on the success, but this will only make it bigger. And anytime we can cross over and do this, like anytime you want, it is open. As I said, with Wonger and the great friends we've met over the years, and of course the people, James Sharman comes on all the time. Footy Prime is is the soccer source in this entire country. They have the three best guys on the show, the three best guys in the country. Probably should work out that way. But Javon Shepherd, who jumps on, I know you also have that as a podcast as well. I mean, you're producing some crazy stuff down there, and if the fact that we've got that and this is it's just part of that plan. So once again, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I'm sure we'll do it again. Wonger, often just awesome to see you, bro. You're the best, and we wish you all the luck, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, boys. Thank you.
Bye, Dave. Bye, Mike.
There you go. That is the guys, both Jeff and Matt. Once again, that's going to be Dine and Dash. Did we say when it starts, by the way? Did we get when are we starting? Is it
Friday? This Friday. So tomorrow
Yeah.
at 1 p.m., guys. Tomorrow, every Friday at 1 p.m.
Every Friday at 1 p.m. Catch it tomorrow. Thanks so much, guys. Awesome job.